Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Divine Transmissions with Janet and Tam this morning. Hello, Tam.
Hi, Janet. Hello. Hi, everyone.
We're actually doing Astro Inklings for May. I just can't believe it's May.
I
Today's May Day. May Day.
oh, that's right. It is May Day, and it actually feels like a literal May Day.
A tisket, a tasket, a green and yellow basket, or something
Yes.
to that effect.
Have you ever done the maypole? Have you ever had your kids do a maypole?
No, I have not. In fact, I wouldn't have even known what a maypole was until actually I was more like in my 30s when I had a metaphysical bookstore and people started talking about, from a Wiccan perspective, what May was all about, and Beltane and all of these, cross quarter days. I had no clue. But when we were kids, we used to make paper baskets
Yes, the baskets.
and
Yeah.
then we'd put flowers in them and put them on people's porches and
Right.
ring the doorbells and run.
Exactly. I wish I had my granddaughters close by. We would play that little thing. That was
It
fun.
it was fun, but you grow out of that pretty soon. And one day, it was 2 years ago, my neighbor's kids went and got long-stemmed roses, like a pack of them,
Oh,
and left them on all of our porches, rang our doorbells, and walked away.
how
And
fun.
then when you go, there's this beautiful rose. That was really sweet
Aw,
of them. Yeah.
yeah,
Of course, one's at college now, and the other one's a senior in high school. So, they're not really into that so much anymore.
time does fly by.
Yeah. So as we dive into the month of May, it feels to me this month feels yummy compared
Yes,
to last
yes.
month, which felt very difficult or exciting, but with it stressful, right? There was a lot of stress coming along with it, with eclipses and what have you. But
Mhm.
now we're past that eclipse window, and I feel like May offers us up an opportunity to really change direction and to really sink into our authentic selves and to be who we want it to be. So I'm really excited about this month. How about you? What's your overall sense of the month?
I'm excited about May as well, looking ahead at the different transits that we have coming up. I think there's opportunity here for some personal growth that's a little easier, maybe.
Yeah.
It's just a little softer energy, I guess. A hopeful energy too, I think.
Yeah, I think there's hope. I love it that there is a word I'm going to throw out to everybody right now that I think encapsulates the month. If you can capture the highest frequency of the month, which you're all capable of doing, and it's exquisiteness.
Oh my! I never would have pulled out that word. That's interesting. Why did you say exquisiteness?
Well, remember behind the scenes when I was grabbing for my Gene Keys book,
Yeah, yeah.
right? Because I was like, I know I got to figure out what that word is for the highest expression. And this is coming from the gate 8, which is a gate in Taurus. And Jupiter is going to be sitting at this gate starting this week. Oh gosh, I didn't turn my calendar yet. Well, it's okay. You can forgive me. It's only May 1st on Friday. And later, other planets moving into that same gate, including the sun. And we're going to have or the sun in a square to Uranus or a conjunction. So we're going to have this gate 8 of exquisiteness
Oh, gate eight.
coming in. And the shadow of that gate is really interesting because it's mediocrity.
Interesting.
So we're moving from mediocrity to exquisiteness
Mm,
through style, through our personal style and your unique style or, the unique you, right?
oh, Janet, you're already perking me up a little bit. See, the human design piece really is a whole separate take from the astrology. I love that word exquisiteness and the thought of using your personal style to sort of
Create
highlight.
that.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
good.
And it's what's going on here is as we are each pulling into our own uniqueness, um instead of quieting down ourselves in the midst of all of the others. We're really, being, can I say loud and proud without people taking that the wrong way about who we are. And, the mindset should be about how we are contributing that to the whole instead of how is it that we have to, um, you know, play it down so that we fit in with the whole.
Mm,
We don't want to play it down. We want to hype it up and be all that we can be. Again, forgive the pun there, uh, so that we can really add to the energy of the earth at this point.
mm.
So
I say let's run with the loud and proud, Janet. That sounds great.
loud and proud.
Loud
I
and
forgot, is that the Marines or something? I just, sometimes they put together ad campaigns. They put together these wonderful combinations of words.
yeah.
So I want us to be, I don't know, something and exquisite,
Mm,
stylish and exquisite.
mm.
So, and that's going to be different for everybody,
Sure.
right? And you don't have to have a career. You don't have to, this doesn't have to be something that happens in your work.
Right.
Likely it does for a lot of people because that's how we express ourselves to the world, but it can also be expressed out loud in your personal life. So, boom,
Express away.
express away.
Janet,
Be exquisite.
I have to say there's like all these people. I'm reading the chat and they're all saying good morning to us. I love it.
Yes. Yeah, so let's say hi to Debbie Tibbetts Tumiel. Happy May Day. Good morning, Terry. I see you there. And J Lo, hello. Happy hump day to you as well. Debbie says we always had a maypole and dancing in our best clothes in
Yeah.
elementary school in
Yeah.
Massachusetts. And that was in the 50s and the
Oh,
60s.
Debbie. Yes.
Sharon Little, hello to you. She says, I'm coming at you from Maine, your neck of the woods. She must be part of your list.
She is.
Debbie Tibbetts Tumiel says, and we got and gave May baskets. I loved May Day. And Sharon says, I'm loving that happy shirt. Happy. Nancy Ross, good morning to you. Teddy, good morning to you. Christine, good morning to you. And anybody else behind the scenes that hasn't checked in the chat, welcome to the show. This is one of those one-off each month that Tam and I come together to share our wisdom about the upcoming month. And May is spectacular. It jumps right in today.
It does jump in
Today with Venus in a square to
Or-
Pluto.
Yeah.
Now, actually, that kind of began yesterday if you're on the West Coast. So this was something that was bridging over into 2 days.
Right.
But of course, transits, they kind of encompass more than just the day that they are exact.
We do.
So some of you might have been feeling the impacts of this one for a while. And Tam, why don't you share your thoughts about Venus square Pluto? Venus, by the way, in Taurus and Pluto
In
in
Aquarius.
Aquarius.
In Aquarius. Yeah. Well, Venus is love and money, I like to say, or relationship. Her job is relationship and squaring off against Pluto, who's all about transformation. And so maybe your money, your resources, even your self-worth are squaring off about your vision for the future and how you were hoping for some transformation. That's what I'm looking at. And I know that is actually showing up in my reality. I just feel that there will be some tension around that. Like maybe you can't quite figure out how your resources will support your vision for the future. The future.
There's definitely that.
Yeah.
Um, I did get a blip this morning around resources and about, what's it going to take? Where do I want to go? And
Yeah.
what's it going to take to get me there?
Right.
That was on my mind. It wasn't actually I wasn't experiencing it necessarily as a challenge,
Mhm.
but in a way, this can set the bait for what could become a challenge. And we're being challenged to, bridge where we are to where we want to go.
Right. And
Kind
of
of fun.
course, you're encouraged to do the work around self-worth, right?
Hmm.
Worthiness.
Definitely. And
Taurus touches on that.
yeah, self-worth, to approach life with gratitude,
Mm,
and to be in a state of abundance.
abundance and receiving.
Um, yeah.
Yeah.
And there's also, when you've got Venus coming into a square with Pluto, you have compulsion for change.
Mm,
So it also gives us the ability to have insight into what are our compulsions. What do we compulsively do?
Mm.
that may or may not be supportive of who we are or of what we want or of where we're going in our lifetime. So it can be some aha moments about where we're struggling in
Mm.
our lives.
I want to ask you a question around this.
Yeah,
Of course, Venus would have a lot to do with legalities, right? The legal system, balance,
yep.
correct? In the mundane
More,
world.
yeah, in the mundane world, Venus does rule that, but more in a relationship component of Libra.
Okay.
But it's still there, right?
It's
There's
a little bit there. I'm
y-
just wondering more
yeah,
on a global level,
moral ethics, that level.
that level, ethics.
Yeah,
Okay. I'm just
yeah.
wondering how that plays out in, because with Pluto in Aquarius, and of course getting ready to go retrograde too, right? So I mean, I'm just
Like
wondering.
this first week, we have all this powerful stuff.
Yeah,
Like,
that just came up. Like, I'm wondering how that might play out, and where are we seeing the ethics struggle?
yeah, power struggles, control issues, compulsions,
Yes,
obsessions,
yes,
especially in love and relationships and money. The
right.
financial system, right? So we have financial tensions, perhaps. We can see it in the economy, in banking. I haven't really watched the news cycle too much about the economy, so I just know that everything's freaking expensive. Like gas, almost $5 a gallon where I live,
Yeah.
which seems so ridiculous, but every year it goes up. It's like a joke, right? They want to blame it on the economy, but it's the greedy fingers of the oil companies that
Mhm.
want more money because they know more people are on the roads.
Well, I'll blame it on the government, less the
We
greedy.
can blame it on the tax part
Yeah.
goes to the government. There's a whole lot of things, but the power here in Aquarius is to the people.
Yeah.
So when do we the people stand up and say enough is enough? We're done paying this.
What
I
is that?
saw I saw a picture. It must have been in California, $7 a gallon for gas.
Yes. Yes.
Insanity. And
Insanity
that's what we're talking here too with, you know, by the time we get to the middle of this month, there are 5 planets in
in
Taurus.
Taurus. I know. I know. I was looking at that like, wow.
So these are big themes, finances and all of the institutional things that aren't sustainable.
In the energy almanac for May, we said revisiting the prosperous vision, prosperity or finances or money. I think is a top level theme. There you go for May, especially by mid month. There's so much
Yeah.
tangled up with the Taurus topic. It's going
And
to be
here's what
really
how I want us to look at this. This is a we're coming to a culmination point. Um, dare I say an explosion point.
cool.
I don't necessarily think it's explosion like boom, explosion, but because Taurus is has been the residence of Jupiter for almost a year now, almost a year, May 18th, I think it is, or May
Mhm,
25th.
mhm.
And all of that transit is coming to an end. And again, all the planets are going to be starting one by one. They'll start moving later in the month into Gemini. So we are needing to embrace and, kind of bring to a head all of the themes of Taurus energy. We're buttoning it up, if you will,
Yep.
and taking that and moving it forward. So I would expect likely next month or later in this month that we'll start to see the messaging changing
Yes.
in
Yep.
the world about finances, economy, banking, gasoline prices, inflation, all
Oh,
of that kind of stuff.
well, you said you haven't been paying attention to what's going on globally. I'm the opposite. I'm always paying attention to what's going on globally and particularly around the economy. I found it fascinating. And it's ramping up so fast and furious right now. Some more banks have failed recently. In America, one of the biggest banks just failed and the FDIC took it over. Um, what something like 200 and I don't know 5 countries have now joined BRICS and are going to a gold backed standard. We've had several countries very recently come off the United States dollar as a foreign as their reserve money. That's big news financially. So what's going to happen in mid-May will really be interesting. It's interesting as we hit that what 29th degree, right? The anaretic degree. Woo! I mean,
And not just the anaretic degree, it's Mars. at
Oh,
that
yes,
energetic
that's right.
degree. And
That's
Aries, not Taurus, though.
mhm.
So it'll be interesting to see how all of this plays out, but it begins today,
Yes.
with this Venus squaring Pluto. And
Yep,
it's not that I don't watch the news cycle. I just haven't watched it this past week. I've had
gotcha.
many other
Oh,
things
no,
going on.
you do watch
But
it. I'm not saying you don't watch it, but I'm, like, all eyes on it.
yeah, and the whole thing about Taurus is it's fascinating. And this just a little backstory for everybody here in terms of the astrology of all of this.
Mm.
20 years ago, 21 years ago to be exact, we had the Jupiter Saturn conjunction in Taurus.
Oh,
And the Jupiter Saturn conjunctions, for those of you who don't know, really start to lay the template for the societal changes that will be coming up. And it was the last conjunction of the two of them in an earth sign.
mm,
And it really held a signature of the impact that greed has had on our planet
mm,
or in our society,
mm,
which lives on a planet. So both works. And then when we fast forward to 2020, we had that conjunction of Jupiter and Saturn in Aquarius. So we change up the energy from the earth signs into the air signs.
mhm.
And even though, we're only, what, 3.5, 4 years into 3.5 years, really, because it was in December, it was on the winter solstice when they made their conjunction. And the earth sign energy hasn't really taken place yet.
Mm.
So I would expect that part of what's happening are going to be new ideas, a new arranging of how we bank, how we and it's already been in play, but also if you're talking about nations that are changing the way they do business in terms of the dollar or a gold backed standard and all that type of thing, that is also the beginning of a move away from the greed model. Now
Yeah,
that's not gonna happen today, I wish,
great.
but what will begin to happen over the next 200 years, because that was a cycle that began that would take 200 years to play out, we're going if we could, be 200 years from now and look back, we'd see, wow, we really came through a whole lot of changes.
Oh, for sure.
So
Well,
but you're living in that moment of change right now as we see all these things that are no longer sustainable, that don't work anymore.
right, right.
Yeah.
Printing money out of thin air. And speaking of air, you just talked about Aquarius, the Jupiter, Saturn in Aquarius, and we're already seeing that on the global scale as well, where we're talking about digital currency daily. We're talking about digital currency. Some things have happened at the SEC that approved specific cryptocurrencies. The bad, greedy cryptocurrencies will go by the wayside and go away, but the new ones that benefit the multitudes, benefit humanity, those ones will stay. It's very fascinating to see how astrology really is playing into the material world.
Right? And if when you think about cryptocurrency, there's nothing to tether yourself to, like money, we have dollars, we have cents, we have an idea of how that works. That is I give you $10 and you give me change back, and it's very physical and practical, grounded, right? It's physical, it's in the physical world. Cryptocurrency is not that way at all.
But there are some new cryptocurrencies tied to gold and silver. They're tethering them.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
fascinating.
It's fascinating to watch. I do not know what the longevity of those kinds of things will be, um, because the air energy so totally supports, all of the digital types of things.
Mm.
But if those things are traded in the digital world, that would be stupendous, right? It would have actual real value.
Well, it's in the works, and we're watching that unfold.
Keep watching, guys. This is
Yeah,
so
that's right.
exciting.
Let's do
It's
this.
like this. It's so exciting to watch these things because and to watch, but also we're participating. I don't know about you, but I've got money in cryptocurrencies and I've watched it go up lately, especially because of Bitcoin, running ahead of the game. And then of course the next day it drops and it's very volatile,
Yeah,
very much like air, right? It's kind of
right.
on the whim of the day. So watch that and we're actually living in this
Yes.
right this moment. And, I don't know if about you, but, we're looking now tomorrow at Pluto going in retrograde.
Correct.
And when Pluto turns retrograde, all of the outer world stuff that's been in transformation mode now becomes something that we integrate on the inner planes.
Right.
So, each of us as individuals or as a collective, we begin to integrate those kinds of changes that we've been seeing. So, new technologies, innovation, breakthroughs, all of those things that Pluto and Aquarius has brought now begin to be integrated and picked apart, if you will.
Exactly. Asking questions about them. Is, our cryptocurrency is going to work for us? And are we
How
sure?
can we make it better?
Yeah. How can we make it better? Exactly. Like asking all those big questions.
Yeah. And Pluto is going to be in retrograde from May 2nd until October 11th.
Mm,
So we have, this longer period of time where this integration takes place, but that's because Pluto is pretty far out there. But he's also retrograding for the last time
and
back
Capricorn.
into Capricorn. And he only makes it to the 29th degree, but
Mm,
that is an anaretic degree or a critical degree.
right.
So it should be interesting to see what the final impact of his transit through Capricorn, which began back in 2008, will bring to the table. What's the final impact on the institutions that are a part of the Capricorn experience?
Right.
What's the um, what's the final transformation?
And can you remind me, when does it go Pluto retrograde in Capricorn? What is that time period?
It is from September 2nd
Yeah,
until November 19th.
to November 19th.
Yeah, yeah.
Yep.
So part of that is going to be with him in retrograde. The other part, he'll have moved forward in November. And once he moves out of Capricorn, which I want to say is in December, January of 2025, he does not go backward into Capricorn again.
Right.
So no one on the planet right this minute will ever see another Capricorn transit of Pluto because his 250 years to get around the zodiac. So these days are huge
Yeah.
in impact, turning points in transformation, in change. Um, I just can't, you know, I can't say that every day is a day of, those kind of breathless changes because Pluto doesn't really operate like that. He's more insistent.
Mm.
He's more intense. He's not like Uranus where it's, boom, you're changed.
Okay.
It's more like that intensity that just keeps going, keeps going, keeps going. So pay attention to your own world. Pluto, where is there Aquarius in your own chart?
Mm,
Looking for Aquarius will tell you what house or area of your life these big transformations impact you.
mm.
So it's a fascinating time. That's all I can say.
We are living, we're not just living astrology, Janet. Get it? We're living history.
Yeah, yeah. We are. And let's change it to her story. Her story.
Yeah, I've
So
heard
we
that before. Yep.
yeah, so that we get the divine feminine energy. Taurus is a feminine sign, and we've been talking a lot about Taurus. Aquarius is actually a masculine sign. So maybe what we're looking at is how do we balance society more through balancing those two great energies?
Mm,
That would be fantastic, right? And when we're not talking male female here, we're talking the bigger energies of the feminine and masculine energies being in balance.
mhm,
So now, here's where I think the most exciting energy is for the month. It occurs on May 3rd. And that word that I threw out at the beginning, exquisiteness,
mhm,
comes up May 3rd because Jupiter, the planet of growth and expansion, moves into this gate 8 in your human design. And in the human design, this energy sits on the throat center and
mm,
it's aimed at our souls. It's aimed at our identity center or the diamond center, if you will. And it's called the gate of contribution in traditional human design. In quantum human design, it's called the gate of fulfillment. And through the gene keys, we see it's the path from that mediocrity to exquisiteness via living out your own style, being you, your uniqueness. So this is a gate that has more impact because throughout the month of May, let's see how many planets go through this gate. Well, Jupiter, right? That's a major hit. And then we have the planet uh, Venus, who goes into the gate 8, will also, at the same time, Jupiter's there. And we have also the sun moving through there. And there's a lot of focus then on this one particular gate. And the messaging here is about leadership in your own world, like being the leader in your own world. It's about being expansive in our communication. It's on the throat center.
Mhm.
So expansive, but not exaggerating, right? Not to the point where you're claiming things that aren't true or saying that you can do things that you absolutely can't do. It's using the energy of contribution, of exquisiteness, of style to really bring yourself more into alignment with your own self. And there's a challenge here for all of us to come into what is authentic for ourselves.
Mm.
So it's not just that Jupiter is a change that's happening through society. We've got the Sun and Venus also, and probably Mercury at some point here as well. Maybe Mercury doesn't do that until the last day of May, but that carries that exquisiteness into June.
Ooh.
So it's like this fulcrum time, right, of bringing in more and more of our authentic selves. I mean, who doesn't want to go out there and be their authentic self?
How do you create you know me, the word and like a theme, like exquisiteness of style? Is that what we're saying as an
I think
underlying
well,
theme?
I think when we say exquisite, we're bringing the idea of style to us personally. So you can have a personal style, right? And we all do. I have a style of communication. You have a style of communication.
I
And
mean,
since it's on the throat center, it's probably going to impact our
sure.
communication. And it would say then, to be exquisite is to be so totally in your power and in your voice
Mm,
that it translates into exquisite beauty,
mm.
if you will, um, out into the world.
Exquisite beauty. I'm writing that down.
Right? I just love the word.
I
I
do
love
too.
the word
Mm,
exquisiteness. Look it up,
yeah,
right? Get your dictionary.com opened up and look at all of the meanings of the word and how it might play into
I love it.
your energy. And there's a sort of natural charisma and influence that becomes very magnetic here,
Mm.
draws to us the right people, the right opportunity to speak, in this case, speak, because again, it's on the throat center. And it is our powerful vision for ourselves of what's possible.
I'm just loving this conversation, and I want to say to everybody who's listening, like, drop it in the chat, like what this means to you. Like, what is this bringing up for you when you think about everybody having exquisiteness in their communication or in their style? Like, it's bringing up, I can feel my heart like bubbling when I think about this. um Imagining all the billions of people on the planet under the sudden influence of this exquisiteness of style. It-
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
incredible when you really lean into that. Wow.
And you're pulling yourself out of mediocrity.
Right.
Now, by the way, this isn't just about the voice, like speaking. So some of you who think, well, no, I don't like public speaking. The throat center is the center of creativity expressed,
Mm.
right? It's generated in the solar plexus in as far as the template and human design, and it gets expressed through the throat center. So this might be how you contribute your voice in quotes, let's say. Your voice could be art, it could be dance, it
Yeah.
could be business, it could be fill in the blank. It doesn't have to be this great speech that you give or this great teaching that you deliver. It doesn't have to be that at all. So don't get caught up in that.
Mhm.
Right? It's on the throat center, which is the center for the communication of ideas, but also the manifesting of our own creative power,
Mm.
our self-expression.
I think of expression more generally. I'm wondering how this is
Yes.
going to apply to my art. I'm kind of excited about it.
Yeah, well, okay, your art has a voice.
It has a voice, exactly. So I'm looking forward to it really showing itself in a different way, more
Maybe
authentic,
a different way or a more authentic way,
exactly,
or
authentically. Yeah.
what I want people to think about is what have you been afraid to do that would really make you feel like
Mm,
your heart swell to do it? Because that we if you've been holding yourself back from something that is truly and authentic yours, that you feel like you want to contribute to the world. Remember, the name of the gate is contribution.
mm,
In the gene keys, we see the highest state of that contribution as exquisiteness.
mm.
What would you do,
Whoa.
right? How would you bring that out? It's
Yeah.
up
Ooh,
to you.
it's exciting.
I know.
We're more than halfway through and we haven't even talked about the new moon in Taurus.
Let's do it. Okay. Well, hold on though. The new moon is on the 7th, right? So, or at least my time, it's at 8:23 p.m. Yeah, so it'd be 11:23-ish, 22-ish, on the East Coast. So for the whole of the United States, it's on the 7th,
Mhm,
but if you're in Europe, it will be on the morning of the 8th.
mhm.
So, and we do have a couple of people here from Europe this morning.
Oh, nice. I didn't know that. Wow,
Yeah. Irene Alberg is from Sweden.
beautiful.
Sweden. So it could even be a little bit later for you because I don't know if Sweden is on UTC or like another hour ahead of that, but it will be on the 8th for all of you in Europe and beyond. So tell us, what are your thoughts about that new moon?
Well, I mean, it's a new moon in Taurus. There seems to be what do we have? Mercury in Aries, conjunct Chiron in Aries. Like, I just think there's some nice healing to do there around uh, authenticity and showing up as ourselves. And new moon, generative, starting something. I think the whole story about worthiness comes up in this moon. And
Absolutely.
I
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, I really, really do, and so let's lean into that. I and
Yeah.
perfectly timed as we go into the rest of the month when we're talking more about Taurus topics, right? So do some healing on this new moon.
Yeah. And actually, the Chiron Mercury conjunction in Aries is at the gate 42 in human design, which in its highest is celebration.
Oh, how lovely. Maybe we celebrate our authentic,
I
worthy selves.
And it comes at a celebration at the end of something.
Mm,
So, maybe there's a certain like exclamation point or period at the end of a sentence kind of thing that we can look at that we're glad we made it through. We're happy that we are set upon a new path
mm,
because the new moon is the new path, a new path of abundance, of worthiness, of
mhm, mhm.
living out loud, living abundantly,
Yes,
that Taurus and the new moon brings us. And you have to know that that new moon is sitting at 18 degrees of Taurus, and
yes.
Uranus is at 2248 and Jupiter at 2548. So all of that is to say the sun and moon are in a conjunction with Uranus and with Jupiter.
Mm,
Close enough,
mm,
tight enough,
mm.
right? And with Jupiter at that point in time in the gate 8, prompting us to be in exquisiteness,
Whoa,
and the sun moon combination at the gate 2, which is about allowing and
wow.
being receptive to change or receptive to receiving
Mm.
good from the universe, input from the universe, money from the universe, abundant resources from the universe.
Because you are worthy and you deserve.
It's a freaking happy go lucky day. I mean, the fact that Uranus is in there does, prompt us to think a little bit about like breakthrough moments or
Sure.
surprises.
Yep.
The fact that Chiron is in there, what has Chiron been doing? He has been in Aries helping us all to get rid of the blockages from living out our identity, from
Mhm.
being our true selves,
Right.
our I am selves. And Mercury, thankfully, out of retrograde and almost out of the shadow at that point in time of the new moon.
Yep.
It's wonderful. It's a wonderful one of these days I'm going to make stop signs and go signs. It's a go. It's a go. Yeah, it's a go. So that moon I think is very positive, and even Saturn is in a good kind of relationship with that sun and moon. It's a sextile, so it's harmonious. So look to the new moon on the 7th as a really good day to, I would say, to look inward and see how far you've come. Pat
Mm.
yourself on the back. Think about the blessings that have occurred.
I wanna
And
I like that, and I wanna add to, like, that 18th degree when you think about 1 plus 8 is 9 and the wisdom that comes with a 9, right? You get to
yeah,
think about that, like, culmination. I just
it's a great culmination. And it's literally astrologically one of the biggest newses of the week, but there is always more. Now, you know that for, oh God, since what, January, February? We have been in the North Node Gate 51, where we have had shocks,
huh,
where we have been awakened, like maybe in the middle of the night, even with stuff going on. We've had breakthroughs, right? And then that's the nodes. The North Node has been sitting there, but also Chiron has
mm,
been sitting at this gate 51. Those two are going to move off of that. Uranus, or excuse me, Chiron is moving into a different gate. He's moving into the gate 42, which is that gate of celebration. Like the breakthroughs have brought us to this point where we can really be true to ourselves. And Mercury, of course, is there as well. And then the nodes will shift. So in human design, the nodes shift energies about every 3.5 months, 3 to 4 months. It's not that they change signs though, right? They're staying in the same sign,
mhm.
North Node in Aries, South Node in Libra, but new energy gets focused upon. Okay? You tracking with me? Everybody getting that so far? Okay. So now the nodes will shift out of the 51 and into the gate 21. Not necessarily a pretty change. Right now, we come face to face with issues around control.
Okay.
And when we're looking at the North Node in Gate 21, which is called the Gate of Control in regular human design, we're dealing with mastering ourselves through self regulation, not trying to control anything or anyone, not being a dominator, not being domineering, um, not being overly rigid. We have to find this happy medium of our moving forward with our will in a way that isn't forcing or controlling, but goes with the flow.
Right use of will.
Right use of will. Now, this can also feel a lot like leadership, right? Taking over versus leadership. So we'll watch about that. In the political world, we're going to see where, people are wanting, certain people are calling up control. They want to control everything. Or it's about how we realize how we've been controlled.
Mm,
And
interesting.
it, it's not a pretty dynamic. This is not one of the sexy gates in human design,
Okay.
but it's very effective in helping us realign ourselves with our confidence, with our true and correct selves, with our personal power
Mm,
through self-regulation, not through controlling ourselves, our environment, or the people in our lives.
mhm,
So
mhm.
I hope that all makes sense. Now the South Node always shows us what the past is. And the past here moves to the gate 48 on the spleen center, which is a center where fear and shadow energy can get triggered. And this is called the gate of wisdom. So what we have here is calling upon our deeper, more primal intuition, instinct that moves us in the right direction. The South Node has a tendency to draw upon the past, right? Past lives or the way things have always been, the experiences and wisdom that we gained in those other days or other times or by using those gifts have to be brought forward in a new way. So, wouldn't it be interesting to move the world forward with wisdom rather than with a set,
Control.
like, control mechanism that's been in place?
Sure. Entirely
So,
possible.
yeah. Now, during this transit, we risk clinging to the past
Of course.
and that becoming overly reliant on the traditional ways of thinking or
Mm.
acting or being.
It kind
So, when
of brings up the whole Aquarius Capricorn thing with Pluto, doesn't it? Like
it does.
that Pluto and Capricorn, like tradition. Oh, this is how it was. And also Taurus, like difficult to change. Taurus energy can be slow moving, slow to
Yeah.
adjust. Hmm.
Yeah, I think, individuals, all of us as individuals, we're gonna need to be very mindful about getting stuck in old patterns,
Mm.
or beliefs that no longer serve our personal growth, right? Instead, we are being encouraged to integrate the wisdom of the present moment and remain open to new insights and perspectives, things that we might, those things that we're like, "Oh, I coulda had a V8," right? And that bang our heads and, do something different.
Anybody born in
So,
the 90s doesn't get that.
probably. I think most people here are probably a little aware of it.
Okay.
Uh, so, yeah, he does J-Lo. Actually, he does Chiron. She's talking about Chiron does retrograde back into the 51 later in the year, but by then, he's batting cleanup,
Mm.
right? At this point, he's, the pot's been stirred. Right?
What?
All of those fears, all of those wounds have been stirred through this awakening process that is the gate 51. And hopefully that, stimulates all of us to start moving more to the being the embodied divine,
Mm.
right? The the truth of who we really truly are. One of the things I had this brief moment of clarity about was more about what do they call it? Um the word went out of my head, but when we find out more about our place in the cosmos and not just our place in this solar system, like
Oh, wow.
where we find out about more about our cosmic brothers and sisters.
There's a word
Uh,
that you're
there
missing.
is there's a word I'm missing. Gosh darn it! It's disclosure.
Oh, okay.
Disclosure.
Oh, I was thinking interdimensionality. Oh, well.
Well, that's a good word too. Our cosmic selves, right? Our cosmic neighborhood. So
Yes,
that's one thing that just kind of I was like, wow, that could be a big deal as the year goes on too.
absolutely. I
Yeah.
think you're right about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Now we go to the 13th of May. In my estimation, another really good day. Sun
Yep.
conjunct Uranus and the moon opposing Pluto.
Oh, I didn't have that aspect. I did mark the 13th though. Yes. Huh.
Yeah, because Sun conjunct Uranus is a whole new cycle of the relationship between these two. And
Yes.
these two,
Yes.
to me, I think though that brings exquisiteness, right? We could, even though they're not at that gate at that time, but I think, or May 13th, what gate will they be at? 23, I believe it is. Yeah, 23, which is a gate of assimilating new
Mm.
it's called the gate of, it's one of the reasons why I like divine transmissions because it's transmission. It
Oh,
is, integrating, all the new, assimilating the new transmissions that are coming through, the new ideas, the new perspectives, the new way
mm,
of being. So that's a pretty powerful day. And to have the moon opposing Pluto that day is another kind of call for us from the instinctual self to move forward with our self expression. Moon is in Leo
mhm. Oh,
at that point in time, and
right.
Pluto in Aquarius. So adding our uniqueness to the voice of the collective.
Mm,
Perfect, right?
right.
Next, May 15th, which is a day where Mercury moves into Taurus,
There
and
is
now that brings up the 5
5 planets.
planets.
Yep.
That, my friends, is the very definition of a stellium.
Yep.
If you hear that word in astrology, it's when 3 or more planets are in the same sign at the same time. So now we've taken that and added 2 more planets to the stellium, and now we have Taurus energy in spades. This is why I felt like this is a culmination point, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're culminating all of the Taurus lessons and all of the Taurus wisdom,
Totally.
all of the abundance, the self-worth, the values, and living from our values and ethics, and bringing all of that to a point.
Woo.
It's a big day.
Is that
Um,
Green Day, I hope?
it's red. It's
It's
red.
red because it's so much energy.
So much energy, right? We are flowing with so much energy in one place. So imagine this, wherever Taurus is in your astrology chart
Mm-hmm.
is where there is this giant hot button of energy that is pushing through like the eye of the needle to
Mm.
be expressed, right? You're being asked to integrate and to bring in and to understand and to sit well with Taurus energy. And if you're not a Taurus, or you're not a Virgo, or you're not a Capricorn who has a lot of earth based practical application energy in your field, it may be very difficult for you to bring down into grounded reality all of this stuff that is of a Taurus nature in your chart. In
Mm.
my own chart, Taurus sits on the 11th house. Where does it sit in your chart? You know?
It's the fifth house, isn't it? I think mine's is in the fifth house.
Creativity, romance, love, joy,
Joy.
joy, joy, joy. So the other thing is, in the 11th house, that is a house of networking, of friends and associates,
J
of
Lo is
dream.
asking about the 12th house,
12th house. Oh man. Oh man.
right?
So J-Lo,
Let's
you
start.
know, it anything in the 12th house is where I, I know you're a Taurus, right, J-Lo? So I can say this with all the love in my heart for you, is that you are coming face to face with where you have become too rigid,
Yeah.
where
Wow.
the patterns have been too much grounded,
Right.
right?
Where you've
Um,
kicked in,
and you may not be the one looking at your own, but you may be coming into contact with people,
confronted
uh,
by it, maybe.
confronted by their rigidity or their inability to use this energy appropriately. But I think on the whole, this would for you would be addressing all of the unconscious patterns that hold you back from being everything you want to be and doing everything you want to do. 12th house is not an easy place. It can be very
Yeah.
trying.
Yeah.
It's a house of processing through old emotions and things like that. So,
And
yeah,
Mars in the 12th house. Ooh,
yeah. Prisons, right? This is the
yeah.
house of prisons,
Yeah.
of institutions, of mental health challenges. And I'm not saying, J-Lo, that you have a mental health problem.
At all.
Not at all. But, as things are you're confronting things in your life, take a look at what's that attached to? Like, what does it remind you of that might be from the past? Where are you living out the past in the present instead of going forward? Where are your heels dug in, or your hooves if you're a Taurus bull, so that you can move forward freely? You're untethering.
I feel like everybody, that would be your homework. Like for the 15th, make sure you know where your Taurus is, which house, and look at all the planets and what that planet does for work and figure out how this might work for you. Do some really good thinking and journaling and rewriting of your stories that day. I'm gonna actually look at that for me.
Yeah. I think it's a noble pursuit in pursuit of exquisiteness.
Exquisite. Oh, in
Your
pursuit.
style, your exquisiteness.
Yeah.
So, okay, we could talk about that forever because so many different planets, so many different filters going on in Taurus at this point.
Right.
So, we could do a whole class on that one.
Ooh, that's a doozy.
On the 18th of May, the sun conjuncts Jupiter. God,
Yes.
that has to be a green day.
I
What day did I just say that was the 18th? It's a red day. Oh my God,
Oh,
you're bad. You're a bad calendar
that's
because
a
that should
lie.
be a
I
day.
wrote Green Day. I literally wrote the words Green Day.
Well, it's green the day before when Mercury is in a square to Pluto. So maybe it's just a typo.
I'm
Maybe they
not
because
okay
I
with
can't imagine why that's a green day. I don't know. Who cares?
it.
I want you to circle the 18th on your calendar because I think the sun conjunct Jupiter is a day to be very tuned into.
Mhm.
And as well that day, Venus conjuncts Uranus.
Yes.
So we have excitement, we
Mhm.
have breakthroughs, we have abundance, we
Mhm.
have optimism.
Mhm.
I think it's beautiful.
I do too. It's a
Good.
great day.
It's a green day, even if it's red on your freaking calendar. Maybe it's my own personal
We
red
called
day. Oh, I see, because Mars is conjunct my midheaven. Maybe that's why they're calling it a red day as opposed to anything to do with the collective. All I can say is circle that day. It's a good day. And then on the 20th, Sun into Gemini. Now we
yes.
start to see the change up of this energy,
Mhm.
one by one over the course of time. Of course, not all in that day. The energy begins the move into Gemini. And we could talk on for hours about that as well. But I want to get to the 23rd.
Yes, me too.
Okay. The
Wow,
23rd.
that's a lot.
Yeah, this is transiting Venus conjunct Jupiter at 29 degrees of Taurus.
Yep.
So there's a couple of things in May that call our attention to the 29th degree,
Mhm.
right? This is a biggie. Tell me what you think about that.
Oh, no, I really think we only have 10 minutes. I want you to go because my wisdom is not as deep as yours. It's a full
Okay.
moon in Sagittarius at 2 degrees, but there are multiple transits happening that day. That is one for the journal for sure.
Yeah.
I
Venus conjunct Jupiter at 29 degrees of Taurus, and then a few hours later moves out of Taurus and into Gemini.
Yep.
So, like we said, this is this culmination. We're being poured through this Taurus filter so that we can plop into Gemini energy with all of these planets, one after another, as the rest of the month goes on, and begin a process of really bringing all of that abundance into the world that we share with others through the air, right? So
Mhm.
through our voices, through communication, through our minds, through learning, through teaching, through just education in general, if we want to
Yeah.
bracket it bigger. But let's talk about that 29th degree because it's anaretic, which means it's critical. And a
Mhm.
critical degree means it's the culmination again of everything learned. And I think poor Venus is holding the accumulation of a lot of Taurus lessons on her back
Sure.
as she's gone through and communicated with each of the different planets through this transit. So um, there's, a surge of positive energy, I think, that comes here as we're really looking at this culmination of all of the things that we've learned.
Mhm.
And it's a final push for us to bring the Taurus things about grounding and
Mhm.
security and material resources, including money and prosperity and abundance and gratitude. And boom, now
And
we're bringing it in.
top it with the Sagittarius flavor that the moon is in, and we are feeling hopeful, right? We're
Yes,
optimistic about all of it, and it makes
absolutely.
yeah, it makes perfect sense.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So that shift is occurring, but this is like where we're bringing it all. We're packing our bags for this most wonderful vacation or this
Yes.
most wonderful trip, and
Yes.
we're putting all of our best clothes, our best, cosmetics, our shoes into this bag, and we're moving it on into Gemini energy.
Yep.
So expect increased abundance
Yeah.
in some way. Now, again, we magnetize what we're focused on. So if you're focused on not abundant, then that can be magnetized to you too. So I don't want everybody to think this is a Pollyanna time and with just abundance is flowing irregardless.
Right.
It's about what have you been focusing on, but it does bring the sense of abundance and of hopefulness around abundance
Right.
and that type of thing. It's a favorable time for financial gain, for
Mhm.
investments, and also for enjoying all the good things in life, right? There's that.
Yay.
Expansion of love. Venus, expansive love here on
Right.
the physical. So, how we interact with one another. Optimism and happiness. Of course, happiness never comes from outside of you. Happiness is an inside job and it's on her chest. She's
Expressions.
saying, I'm happy, right? Happiness in as an inside job feels more easily accessible as this culmination point is being reached. There's huge opportunities for growth, beauty, pleasure, the sensualness of being grounded on the earth, getting out into nature, being in love with the physical world. It's a highly auspicious day. Let's
It's
just put it
highly
that way.
day. Yeah.
Yeah.
Green day.
Green day, fortunate, optimistic,
Yeah.
loving. I
Yeah.
mean, what's not to like about that day? I just can't think of anything that I
Yeah.
don't like about that day.
Yeah.
So, now, what else?
The 25th,
The
Jupiter.
25th. What did I do? Like, I just did something that you did earlier. It's like I
Oh,
had the whole
you
list of
lost
things
your
to talk about.
papers? Jupiter's moving into Gemini, right?
Yeah.
Yeehaw, here we go. An expansive urge for learning and communication and being social and friendly and witty and wordy. Yeah, Janet, am I close?
Witty, wordy, wonderful,
Wonderful.
communication, learning,
Gemini
teaching,
energy.
sharing,
Gemini energy
networking.
is so yummy, huh?
Well, if you're a Gemini, of course, you love it. If you're an air sign, Aquarius or Libra, you'll love it.
Yeah, no,
Um,
Geminis are so pleasant to be around. They're so pleasant to be around. They really, really are. I
there's this
enjoy
there's
the
this social butterfly energy, I think, that comes up over this next year,
yeah,
where people are coming out of their shells, people who you
yes.
don't normally communicate with, you might be in communication with them, you might be learning from people that you'd never thought you would be learning from, taking up new topics.
I expect a hunger to learn. I expect
Hmm.
people to be like more than normal, ready and willing to take on another subject.
Yeah,
I
there's that. You
oh
know,
no,
Gemini is the breadth of what we know,
right,
where Sagittarius, the opposite point, is the depth of what we know.
right, right.
So we may be dabbling a lot
Oh,
during this, right?
yep.
But we also have to watch for the more negative side of the Gemini transit, and that is the tendency to scatter our energies, our
Yeah,
focus.
sure.
People may feel more ADD, ADHD times in their lives.
Yeah.
So, like looking at the next shiny object, but without the focus of, well, what is that going to do for me in the long run? There's not the practical expression of what do I do with all of this. So we want to watch that, but by and far, this could be a very positive transit. Just a glimpse ahead, followed up next year by Uranus moving into Gemini. So an
I
interesting, combo.
for
They
sure.
won't they won't conjunct in Gemini, but so watch for the seeds that Jupiter is planting in the Gemini part of your chart,
Yeah.
because that is what will start to come to fruition throughout this year and into next year, and
I
then be breakthrough energy, flashpoint energy when Uranus gets there next year.
so globally, this is education.
I'd say globally, this is education, the nature of truth.
Oh, I love that. Of course. I can't believe I didn't think that. The nature of truth. I think
You
of truth as a Sagittarian word, but Sag and Gemini are one and the
Same
same.
axis.
Yep.
Gemini tends to paint the truth, where Sagittarius is looking for the real truth.
Yeah.
So we'll have to watch for the information and how it's being presented, and is it really true? The newspapers, the news cycles,
Oh,
the way we get news, and the different,
oh,
viewpoints that all come in. This is you know not necessarily easiest of times for us to really discern what's truth. We're going to have to really be very discerning during this period of time. Gemini is called coyote, right? It is the
yes.
trickster.
Yeah. Yeah.
It is an energy that can lie right to you, and you never know that you've just been duped by a lie.
Yeah. Fascinating. Well,
Mhm.
that's something to watch for, isn't it?
Right?
Mm,
So, for us, truth is going to have to be the deeper aspect, right? Looking for that deeper connection to truth, not just the superficial, um, it's a little worrisome when you think about already, the impact of, people just blasting out whatever they want to freaking say and, as if it's true and how that incites others
Mm.
to pick up what is a non-truth and spread it as if it's true. So we're going to have to be very
Discerning,
diligent,
discerning.
discerning.
Yeah.
Yeah, discernment is going to be your best friend during this period of time. But also, look at where you're getting your information,
Yep.
right? Are you only consuming information from one source, believing it to be the only true source? Or are you kind of taking a wider view, a broader view of information and digesting from different points of view? So
Yes.
lots of good stuff, but also, I'm a little wary about the impact on the information that
Yep.
people get
It's valid.
during this time.
It's
Yeah,
valid. So we will keep reminding over the next 12 months, discernment, discernment, discernment. It's good. It's really
discernment.
good.
It's a really good word to put in your pocket along with exquisiteness.
Oh, yes. Well, we don't need to worry about discernment. We'll worry about that in June when the whole transit is really like starting to come.
Yeah, actually, yeah, as other planets move out of, so Jupiter moves into Gemini on the 25th, Venus on the 23rd. We didn't even get to Mars conjunct Chiron on the 29th in
I know.
Aries.
Yep, I know.
That's,
I know
at the
we're
20,
at noon o'clock and it,
it's time to go.
it's time to go. And before everybody goes, I want to share one thing that I have coming up, if you don't mind.
Not at all. Go right ahead.
Um, People who don't know me fully may not understand that I'm a transformational coach. And one of the things that I really love doing is digging out people's stories and working with them. And we have so much Taurus energy this month that I have planned a 10-day um, money class. It's basically 10 days, but it's going to culminate in one live class that will happen on the 27th, so that it'll begin on May 17th. It will run via email, so you'll do your homework yourself, and then we're going to bust through all of it with some EFT tapping, some access consciousness, and ask formations. We're going to do a killer 2-hour live class with me breaking through your belief systems with you and for you, all about money, all the stuck money stuff, no more. So if you're interested in that, you could put a comment here. You could email me, Tam at Choose Big Change, and I'll add you to the list of people who have already signed up. It's going to be so much fun. We're going to talk a little bit about astrology and a whole lot about how your unconscious mind has those stuck stories of lack of worthiness in there.
Okay, but wait a minute. Can they go to your website right now and
Nope, they can't
buy
because
it?
I haven't got the sales page up.
Oh, okay. So there's that. If you're on Facebook, Tam at Choose Big Change. I forgot the .com, but everybody knows the .com, right? And let me show it now to the people watching on YouTube. Tam at Choose Big Change. I think that sounds fantastic. I might have to join you.
You might have to join me.
Just because I like to be in the know. It's
Yeah.
a Gemini thing.
You got that Gemini thing. Oh my God, May is going to be exquisite. Thank you.
Make it that way. Make it that way, right? Make it this your contribution to the whole is to be your authentic and most exquisite self.
Mm,
Out goes mediocrity and in comes your style.
mm.
Be you. All right. That's it for both Tam and I. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. Thank you so much, Tam. We will be with you again. It looks like probably May 29th.
Oh, good. May
Yeah,
29th.
because June 1st is on a Saturday, and then we'd get in the 5th. That would be too late. So the 29th. Good day. All
Have a
right.
clean month.
Yeah. It's a long month, but it'll go by so fast. We'll be talking about June in no time.
Yeah.
All right. Bye, everybody. Take
Bye,
care. See you on Friday.